So a bird that I've been seeing a little bit in my garden just in the last few days, and I expect to see more of, is a bird called a silver eye. These are beautiful, tiny, weeny little birds. I believe they weigh something like 10 grams, which is the same as the weight of two pieces of A4 paper. They're tiny, weeny. They've got a limey head and wings. They're grey underneath, and they've got a very distinctive series of white feathers around their eye, a ring around their eye. So in some places I think they're called white eyes. These are beautiful little birds to look out for. Lou tells me that they love blackberries.
They do. They absolutely adore blackberries. They're naughty, really, because I'm sure they spread them around.
Yes.
Yeah, they absolutely love blackberries. They take all sorts of things. They're pretty. They have a, what was it? Catholic taste.
Yes.
They have Catholic taste.
They certainly like the figs at my place. They get onto those.
Yes.
But the reason they came to mind was that we're seeing them at the moment, and we'll probably see a few more of them because they are beginning to move through our area and further north. And I think that they make a really interesting migration, or movement pattern is probably slightly more accurate. So that my understanding is that the silver eyes in our area will now fly their tiny weeny little 10-gram bodies all the way up beyond the Queensland border. And at the same time, the silver eyes from Tasmania are going to fly up to the Highlands. So that a little bit later in the year, as this pattern occurs, you'll notice that the silver eyes that we have normally, they just have a beigey, sort of creamy coloured underneath. But in a couple of months' time, they will have apricot-y colour on their underneath. And they will be the ones from Tasmania.
That's right. That was such a revelation when somebody told me. Basically, it's on the sides of their the
flanks,
sides.
Yeah,
That there's orange.
Yeah.
Normally, silver eyes don't have orange on their. There's a word for that. Flanks.
Yes.
Flanks. But if you see silver eye, you always know it's a silver eye because of the white ring round its eye, and it's got bits of orange on its flanks. It has come from Tasmania across the Bass Strait. I believe they migrate at night.
Yeah.
And all together.
Yeah.
And anyone who's crossed the Bass Strait, even in a boat, we all know what that's like. It must be. It's one hell of a tough gig.
What a
I
job.
reckon.
Yeah.
For a
10 grams.
little bird.
Yeah.
So amazing.
And there are some other birds migrating at the moment, Lou.
Yes. Well, the cuckoos will be gone soon. I still can hear a coal, which of course is a cuckoo, but they will be migrating north, most of them, or somewhere warmer. They won't be staying here in the Highlands because we know how cold it can get here. And they will not be the only ones. We have quite a common bird here, which is a fantail. But it's a grey fantail, isn't it? It's black and white, and it stays all year. It's a real stayer. But we also, in the summer months, get rufous fantails occasionally. We get kind of excited, and they are the most beautiful orange and black birds.
They're gorgeous.
And they will be leaving. They don't like the cold. And then we have very close to home Latham's snipe. Latham's
They do a big
snipe.
migration.
They do a massive migration back to Japan. And so a snipe, it's a medium-sized bird. It's not small. It's quite big, and it's got a very long bill. And it likes to live in wet, reedy habitat. During the day, it just hides in high grass. And it feeds at night. It goes out into the sort of mud flat, and it feeds in there using this very long bill to find all sorts of larvae and worms and goodness knows what in the mud flats. And we here in the Highlands have a population of Latham snipe.
Which is a highly endangered bird, I think.
Highly endangered. And I go out sometimes with a bunch of people during our summer months when they're here to the Botanic Gardens in Barrel. And that wet area there in the middle of the whole land is where they hide during the day. And we just form a line and we do a count. I think we do it 3 times in the warmer seasons and count how many. And this goes into a huge international database. And I think there's one more to go this year, and then they will leave for this massive migration all the way up through China and the Eastern Airways, I think.
Eastern Flyways.
Flyways, they call it, that's right. And some of them will even go up into Russia.
Siberia.
Onto the Russian islands and things like that. And it is just a remarkable migration, and that's where they breed. And so we are so lucky to have these birds. And I have actually seen them in, not just there, but I have seen them in a couple of other wetlands in the southern Highlands. So always look out. It's always a wetland bird, really.
Yeah, swampy.
Not lakes.
Swampy, reedy.
Swampy, that sort of thing, yeah. So always keep your eye out for them.
Yeah.
Of course, they're very well camouflaged because they're sort of brown and speckledy. And
You don't know till you flush them out.
you
usually.
don't really know.
Yeah.
So that is a magnificent migrant. And then, of course, there's the very well-known migration of the yellow-faced honey eaters.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to come to them. Yeah.
Well, we all love them because we see them every year and in large numbers, and they fly over your house in March, April, and they are either flying to the coast or they are flying up north, but they are going somewhere
Beyond
warmer.
the Blue Mountains. They're not stupid.
and nearly always in the morning, a blue sky, and you hear them before you see them. You hear those twitters because they all keep in touch with each other as they're flying over
It's
your
almost
garden.
like a river, isn't it, through the sky?
Yeah, and you look up and you think, what is that twittering? And then you see them, and they're tiny.
Yes.
They look really tiny.
So you better describe a yellow-faced honey eater for people who don't know.
Well, it's browny grey, and then it's really, not spectacular looking, but it's got yellow eyeliner.
Yes.
Hasn't it?
Yeah.
Just on its face with black on the top and the bottom, I think.
At our place, we call it the Zorro bird.
Okay. Okay. So you need to look at the face.
Yeah, but as soon
you-
as you see that eye.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I believe sometimes they migrate with silver eyes and some other species as well. And they all
the
go
white,
together.
One of the white, is it the white-eared honey eater?
I think so.
Not be sure.
And there can be hundreds going over
Yeah.
at a time. I mean, it's really a spectacle.
Yeah, so it's a good spot to see it. I can't guarantee you'll see it on any given day, but if it's a sunny day, they'll fly over in big groups along the Bong Bong bike track. I see them there.
Right.
Whether they're kind of following the river or something, I don't know. But yeah, lots of places that we go at this time of year in the Highlands, you'll hear them and then look up and see them. And they land very, very briefly, usually high in a tree.
High in a tree for a bit of a rest.
Yeah, and then move on. Yeah.
Yep, then they move on. That's right. And I think that they're really, I think they get an early start. It always seems to me, I always notice it's like early morning, but, as soon as the sun's up and it's warm, the sky's blue, that's when they
Off
come.
they go, yeah. So, keep an eye out for them. They're really interesting.
But fortunately, we do have some stayers.
Yes, we can still go birding in winter.
Our lovely eastern spinebill is a stayer. And apparently some do migrate, but mostly they stay. And these birds they're nectar feeders. They're honey eaters. They have that tongue that's like a mop. And they can mop up the nectar in the flowers. And believe it or not, during winter, there are quite a lot of bush flowers. There's the Banksias.
Yeah, they're great.
The mistletoes. And what seems to be their favourite, I reckon, is those mountain devils.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
And the mountain devils, they're sort of an understory shrub in our woodlands. And they put out these lovely trumpets of mostly pink flowers, but they're all sort of bunched up together and they're tubular. So you need to get that nectar, you've got to have a good size bill that can reach down into the bottom of that tube and get the nectar. And the spinebill is absolutely tailor-made. Or maybe maybe it's the other way around. Maybe the mountain devil is tailor-made for the spinebill.
Spinebill.
But one way and another, they flower, on and off sporadically during various
for a long
times
period.
of the year.
Yeah.
But in winter, for a long period, and very often they are
One of the
the
few.
major understory plants that is flowering in the bush. So they're great stayers. The brown thornbills, I think it must be hard for them because they're insectivorous, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah.
And the insects get when it's really cold. You know.
Harder to find.
Yeah, the eastern crimson rosellas, they
Yes.
hang around. So we do have stayers.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we have the colourful robins.
I was going to say the yellow robins. Some of the other robins migrate in different ways and do different things. The scarlet robin does something. I remember seeing it in spring, but they said it's passing through to nest in the mountains.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yes. So I haven't quite got a handle on. I mean, these migrations are not absolutely, set in concrete.
And often some members of the same group will stay
As some of the yellow-faced honeyeaters, you hear them calling in midwinter.
throughout the year. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
So there are no hard and fast rules.
That's right. It's like so many things in nature.
Yeah, exactly.